like a thick fog lifting, revealing a landscape that was hidden moments before. Transfiguration Sunday reminds us of a time when the disciples saw Jesus in his true glory. On that mountain, their vision was cleared, and they glimpsed the fullness of who Jesus is. A moment that let them see beyond the everyday into the reality of God's kingdom. Today, we celebrate this lifting of the veil, the first step of transformation, when what once was unclear or hidden becomes fully visible. When the fog lifts, we see beauty, light, and truth in ways that weren't possible before. This lifting of the veil invites us to move closer to God's kingdom, allowing us to see the world as God intends, filled with His light, love, and justice. Many things can act as veils in our lives, keeping us from fully seeing God's presence and purpose. These veils might be fears, misunderstandings, doubts, or distractions. They make us see the world only as it is, rather than as it could be in the fullness of God's kingdom. To experience true transformation, we must be willing to set aside these barriers, opening our eyes to see through God's eyes. When Jesus was transfigured on the mountain, the disciples saw His divine glory shining like the sun. In that moment, the veil was lifted, and they glimpsed a reality they hadn't seen before. This same light of God is meant to shine into all our lives, clearing away what hinders us and revealing His kingdom, His rule of peace, justice, and compassion. When we remove these veils, we begin to see not only who Jesus is, but also who we are called to be as His followers. Today's psalm reminds us of the holiness and majesty of God's presence. It invites us to worship and revere God, who is exalted above all nations and yet near to each one of us. Like the psalmist, we are called to approach God with reverence and humility, asking Him to remove whatever stands between us and His kingdom vision. We invite Him to lift the veil so that we can see His love, His justice, and His power more clearly. On this Transfiguration Sunday, let us ask God to lift the veils in our lives. May He remove the barriers that keep us from fully seeing His kingdom and experiencing His transforming love. As we journey with Him, let us embrace the light that reveals who He is and who we are called to be. As we worship, may we remember the words of Psalm 99, which remind us that our God is holy, mighty, and near. The Lord reigns. Let the nations tremble. He sits enthroned between the cherubim. Let the earth shake. Great is the Lord in Zion. He is exalted over all the nations. Let them praise your great and awesome name. He is holy. The King is mighty. He loves justice. You have established equity. In Jacob you have done what is just and right. Exalt the Lord our God and worship at His footstool. He is holy. As we lift our eyes, may we see clearly and follow boldly, for our God is holy and worthy of our worship.